the trumpets here? Great. You got two choices.
Oh, I have no instructions.
Okay. Some people really do.
I'm sure that is true. I'm sure that's true. Thank you.
My name is Andrew Griffin. I'm the mushroom cultivator here at Micro Myco. I grow small quantities of gourmet mushrooms here in the heart of Madison using recycled materials. All right, so it starts out with this. So all mushrooms grown commercially are started from a culture rather from spore. So this would be like the equivalent of taking like a cutting from a plant rather than starting from a seed. So I got all my cultures up here. These ones all look pretty much the same. You can't start to see the difference in varieties until they're grown out onto another medium. We use spawn, which is all these jars of grain right here, as kind of an intermediary to move the culture onto a physical medium. These get mixed up with bulk substrate. So bulk substrate is essentially like the larger nutritional base that we're using to grow the mushrooms on. So that's like the log equivalent. You can see it's like really loose. It's just a bunch of tiny little particulate matter, and you can see this is already mixed in with a spawn. All these little oats in here are like the seeds mixed in with soil. So eventually each one of those oats is going to start as a growth point for the mycelium to eventually, it's called colonizing this whole bag, which is growing over essentially all the available nutrition. So this one's fully grown out. This is from the 15th, which is like just under 2 weeks ago. You can see now no more chunks of anything. It's one solid block. You can see the mycelium growing all over. It's just one whole thing here. This is called a fruiting block. So this is like a fake log essentially. This is the equivalent of if this mushroom was growing on a log in nature, this solid piece of nutrition would be the same deal. So then after it's taken over the whole thing, just by putting it in an ideal environment for it to reproduce, it just starts growing the mushrooms pretty much just by cutting a little slit in here and exposing it to high humidity and good airflow. So most of the work is done at this point. All you got to do is put it into the fruiting room and let it do its thing. So this is the fruiting room. This is the ideal environment for all these mushrooms to thrive in. So we got high humidity, good airflow, low temperature, and a lot of oxygen. And you can see just by cutting a little hole in one of these bags here, they just grow right out the side. So this is our log, and the mushrooms are coming out. They're all growing out from every angle here. These are ready to be picked, so I'll get these out into a box just after this. What we're left with is this. I'm pulling right off. We're left with this now spent fruiting block, a couple pounds lighter, a lot less water, and most of the way to compost as it is.
What was your initial goal in starting your business, and how do you think your business impacts the community around you?
I really want to just grow good food without messing up our local environment. I want to make sure that people are eating things that are healthy for them. I want to make sure that the food that they are eating comes from a place that's not disrupting our local ecosystem and our community. So that means low waste, low emissions, and then primarily focusing on growing healthy food. Mushrooms are a really nice way to marry all those concepts together. They can be grown in an urban environment. They're really underutilized in terms of health food, and I'm using recycled materials and sending all of my waste away. So it's very low impact here.
From conception to present, how have you seen your business grow?
You can talk about it in purely numbers, how many pounds of mushrooms I'm growing per week or how many customers I have. But I think a better measure for me is how many people I've interacted with at the farmers markets and at restaurants who are now more willing to try mushrooms or have tried, twice or 4 or 5 times as many mushrooms as they ever had before and are now coming back week to week looking for, something that they're really comfortable with and something that they like eating and they know is good for them and produced in a good way.
There was a time, I think, when the restaurant aspect of your business was really starting to take off too. Was there anything that led to that, or was it just like the word started getting out?
It's all word of mouth. People are really excited about fresh local produce, especially something that they know is grown, a 5-minute walk away. It makes a big difference for people to know that their food is grown locally and sustainably, but also with, good intention.
What was like one of the biggest hurdles you faced in either startup or like during? What were some of the challenges you faced?
Learning to do the small business stuff, figuring out how to do taxes for a small business or what an optimal delivery route, that sort of thing is. That stuff I'm less good at. I'm very comfortable with growing mushrooms, but trying to figure out how to actually run a business and make those two things work together was a lot more difficult.
future goals, or how have your goals changed in relation to your business? You know, from the conception to like seeing these impacts on the community. What do you see in the future of Micro Myco?
Over the last couple of years, I've really come to appreciate the impact that community can have. So I can fill my mission as best as possible, but working together with other people that want to accomplish the same things, it's always, you know, it's the sum of many parts is greater than the whole. So working with other people that have like-minded goals, working with other people that want to grow good food, and then, you know, being able to do that in a professional aspect is the next evolution of Micro Myco. So we can continue growing good food, continue trying to clean up our environment, and continue getting people interested in their local food economy.
Yeah, I think part of that, I mean, at least a step in that direction was the relationship that you now have with Greenbox.
Yeah, absolutely.
Composting with us.
Yep. So mushrooms are nature's composters as it is. Most of the stuff that's going to Greenbox is probably, you could consider it compost. It's not being taken out of the landfill, but it's diverting it into other avenues, into more productive, useful ways. The end product of growing mushrooms is useful and can be helpful in achieving the same goals. So it's nice to see that utilized well through Greenbox.
Sweet.
And I just crested 10,000 pounds of collected compost since I've been working with you guys, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Literal tons, which is cool.